default code. So we should now be sending again if you're on the back end of YouTube and can see.
Yes, I see it again.
Okay.
So that's weird. Like, it should have sent the shutdown. Like, the only way that the stream would have stopped like that is if your streaming software had said the stream is over.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, we have no idea what happened there.
Yeah.
We've never seen that before. That had nothing to do with Starlink. You can't blame that one on Starlink.
Apparently, my fish are what are being blamed.
Your fish are to blame.
Yes, this is what Hyperbolic Lyric says over on Twitch, is the fish are to blame.
Okay.
Because it died when I got up to deal with the fish. And my camera is glitching. We're just going to deal with the fact that I'm a little max headroom today.
It looks fine to me. Well, I mean,
it just periodically goes to rainbow stripes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't actually watch the live stream because there's a little bit of a delay. I find it a little tricky to sync up. So
all good. All good.
All good.
I am pressing record.
Okay. Whoa. This just escalated. Okay, hold on. I pressed record.
I pressed record on the video. I'm still finding my audio software.
Okay. Yeah, that seemed a little quick to me.
Yeah, well, I have many things I have to click. And why? Okay, pressing record there. It is recording. It looks terrible. Why do you look terrible? Am I super soft to you?
Yes. Point of the camera you think you're using.
That's not the problem. The problem's the mic. And I'm using the correct mic. It's just super soft. All right, let me see if...
It's fine. I mean, but then I can't see what you're actually sending out. So I don't...
It's super low. So I am adjusting the input volume. It should now be better. It is indeed better.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready to try this thing?
I'm ready.
I'm not sure I am. I'm sorry, Rich. I hope we are deeply amusing today.
Rich isn't doing the audio. Oh, Rich is doing the audio. This is an audio.
Yeah, well, Rich is getting the audio and Allie's getting the video, but mostly Allie's used to this shit by now from Daily Space. I do this to her on a regular basis.
Now you're okay. People saying the audio is a little better. Your mic sounds really hot to me. Definitely, like it's living in the red and peaking.
Okay.
But fine. I mean.
Oh, it is peaking now. Hold on. Good Lord. Dear software, why are you doing this? I will restart the recordings in a moment because nobody needs to deal with that.
I haven't even started recording yet.
Okay.
Yeah, sausages made.
Yeah. Not necessarily to order, though.
Are you not edutained?
Okay, so there's that.
Apparently, I'm a little loud.
I can't help with that.
No. Well, you could, but...
Wow, my camera's camera's glitching out. Okay, there's nothing I can do at this moment about that. We're
You just have a
gonna
bad camera?
Bad cable.
Didn't you have a cable before?
I tried a different cable and apparently, so I'm going to go with it may be the port on the camera at this point. Because this is like cable 3.
Yeah, 3 cables. I don't think it's the cable.
Yeah. I'm going to have to probably get this camera replaced, which makes me sad. Okay. So, what's wrong?
Oh, someone. Okay. Someone's trying to call me.
Oh.
But I cannot. I cannot talk to that person right now.
No, you can't. All right, so I am as ready as I'm going to be. I am pressing record there. I am pressing record there.
Okay, I've also pressed record.
It is actually recording.
Okay, if you say so. Here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 647, Best Sci-Fi Beach Reading. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Professor Cain, publisher of Universe Today. I've been a space and astronomy journalist for over 20 years. With me, as always, is Dr. Pamela, a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I am doing well. I have almost had my PhD for 20 years. Almost.
That's amazing.
Oh.
Do you get some kind of anniversary, some kind of jubilee? PhD jubilee?
No, you just get old. You just get old.
You can stack up the papers.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that what reminds you when I've been doing my work? I wonder, wait a second. What year did you get your PhD? Because I started Universe Today in 99.
December of 2002, and it's 2022 now. So
yeah,
almost 20 years.
So there you go. Yeah, so there you go. That's funny. I didn't realize. I had assumed that you'd gotten your PhD before I had started Astronomy Cast, started Universe Today, but I guess not.
I went through university in an absolutely average for a PhD in the US amount of time, which is 10 years from start to finish.
Wow.
And so unless I had skipped years of university, which I did not. No, I finished in December 2002.
All right, let's get into it. Summer is here, and that means finally tackling that huge list of books piled up on your bedside table and filling up your Kindle. What books do we recommend for some fun reads this summer? We do this from time to time.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Actually, we're going to talk about it in a second, but it's time for a break. And we're back. So we do this from time to time, although my reading has dropped this year, which makes me a little bit sad. I was reading Up a Storm last year, but I have not been reading a lot. So I won't be able to contribute a ton of new, interesting stuff that's filled my brain to the conversation. But I know you've got a big list. So what's your goal? You're trying to keep it light.
My goal is to keep it light. My goal is to bring joy. And there is such a thing as dystopian books that still bring you joy, but the more laughter can be encouraged, the better it is for beach reading. Have you ever caused yourself cognitive dissonance by reading a super serious book in entirely the wrong place?
No.
Good.
I'm sort of thinking I'm gonna have to set aside Harlan Ellison books for this conversation. Then I have no mouth yet. I must scream. We will not be talking about that book today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I am guilty of causing cognitive dissonance by reading extremely dystopian stuff while in extremely lighthearted places. And my goal for today is to help all of you not experience that cognitive dissonance I have brought upon myself.
Right. So you're not going to be reading The Road while you're lying on the beach or hanging out in a beautiful garden.
That book is dark.
I know, it's so dark. Yeah.
All right. So
It was great.
It was.
I'm trying to think. I mean, the closest I have is I read World War Z. And
Yes.
I read it and I was like traveling. And so I was just like, I was listening to it as an audiobook. And so I was just walking around in a city an unfamiliar city, but I had this book on in the background and I was just hearing about this while I was like watching people. And so I
Yes.
got a sense of that because I was just like surrounded by people and then they were talking about the level of mayhem and the sort of the tactical response to the zombie hordes. It's a great book. I really loved it, but
it really is.
But I sort of understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you got then? What do you got?
So, I mean, the place that I go for finding science fiction joy as opposed to fantasy. Neil Gaiman for fantasy. For fiction, I'm all about John Scalzi for joy and light and silliness. And he has a brand new book out called The Kaiju Preservation Society.
Wow.
And it brings in quantum mechanics, it brings in physics, it brings in nuclear physics. And it's just human beings being human beings, and there's laugh out loud joy involved in a helicopter almost crashing. And I can't say that sentence very often.
So John Scalzi, he's the one who did Old Man's War.
Yes.
And that's a terrific book. One of my favorites.
Yes.
And
heavier
there's
series.
A couple of sequels. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you watched the new Love, Death, and Robots, he gets a short story at the beginning of each season of these adorable robots that are exploring this apocalyptic wasteland by humanity, trying to understand where humanity went wrong. And that's actually a John Scalzi short story, if you watch that. So yeah, John Scalzi's terrific.
Oh yeah.
But I have not read this. The Kaiju
Preservation Society. Also on his list of absolutely hilarious books is Agent to the Stars and Electronic Sheep. Just go with it. They're hilarious.
I'm definitely gonna add these to my list.
So start there for joy and light, and another place here less science fiction-y, more Eurovision. We have Catherine Valente's space opera. Have you heard or read that one?
No, not at all.
So the idea is that part of the way that a race proves its readiness to be part of the universe's sentient races platform is through its musical competition. And so think Eurovision, but to prove you're actually a sentient race.
It kind of sounds like Rick and Morty, the episode of Rick and Morty where these big heads show up and force humanity to join the Earth equivalent of or the universe's equivalent of a Eurovision song contest. Show us what you got.
Exactly. And hijinks ensue. Hijinks, of course, ensue. And really, we need more hijinks in everything we read. So we don't have to talk just about modern books. There are some books I know you've talked about in the past that bring you joy.
Yeah, so I'll hit you with one now, which was that I'm reading through the Culture series.
Yes.
By Ian M. Banks, and he's a fantastic writer. And I've read the first two books now. So the first one, or the Consider Plebeius and Player of Games, and Consider Plebeius is kind of different, but Player of Games is absolutely a book of joy. It is this post scarcity society where this guy's job is to design games for people, and he is invited to their civilization to play the most complicated game that is widely considered in the entire universe, that goes on for months and involves giant simulations, and he has to, it's as for diplomacy.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so I highly recommend, like a lot of people have, I know Elon Musk has named drone barges after them.
Of course, I Still Love You.
Of course, I Still Love You, and just read the instructions, and those come from the Culture series. And it's, it's like this idea of like, what do you do when we don't have to worry about where the next meal is going to come from? It turns out society will still have problems, still have issues, but they're just different, and they're quite wonderful.
I would just start with the player of games. Just start with book 2. Just go straight to book 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like book 1, although it is in the same universe, it's seen from outside, and it's effectively from one of the enemies of the culture, while the rest of the books are of the culture, and so book 2 gives you a much better sense than book 1. Book 1's pretty weird, and book 2 is less weird and a lot more straightforward, and gives you the great feels all the way through. I really liked it. All right, we're going to talk about some more book suggestions in a second, but it's time for a break. And we're back. All right, what do you got?
Mur Lafferty's 6 Wakes is one of those books that it isn't all joy and light. There's a lot of also whodunit and mystery, and zero gravity blood occurs. I may have been the science advisor for that, so I'm slightly biased here.
Oh, really? Okay.
But Mur in general is someone that she manages to capture the voice of Gen X in her science fiction, that edge of, we are the generation of children who took ourselves home, made ourselves lunch, and when we bled, we cleaned it up so no one found out. She somehow captures that spirit in her writing with, there's just the right edge of sarcasm to absolutely everything. So if you want to like channel your inner Breakfast Club in science fiction, her writing is totally the way to go. Totally the way to go. 6 Wakes is the science fictioniest of her stuff. She has many other good books. My favorite novella of hers, and unfortunately it didn't get nearly enough critical acclaim, my favorite novella of hers is Marco and the Red Granny, which includes a future where an alien race comes and befriends the Earth, and we only allow them to land on the moon. And they build up their own culture that includes actual gladiator matches on the moon, and a elderly granny is really good as a gladiator, and
in the lower gravity.
In the lower gravity, yes. So I recommend both of those quite strongly.
That's really cool. What else you got?
So you can't put together a list of science fiction without including Neal Stephenson. And the most goodness and light he has, most of his stuff is not goodness and light, people, but it all has humor. But the closest we get to goodness and light is Remedy. It's a misspelling of readme, and it approaches what happens when your video game economy becomes more important than your real world economy. And there's a whole lot of other stuff involved. It's a multinational thriller of the rich and the not trying to work it all out. And it's a good hijinks of the near future. And I feel that it would be good beach reading in an action-adventure sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, I've read most Neal Stephenson's. That's one that I haven't read. And I haven't read his new book yet.
The Fall.
That's it, yeah.
They're sequels. But I've read... So you want to read both.
Oh, but is that the one about the global warming?
No, okay, he has one more apparently that I have not yet
Yeah.
read. Okay, I need to go get that.
Yeah. So she's got a brand new book that's about global, a rich philanthropist decides to personally stop global warming, but I haven't read it. And Seven Eves is definitely apocalyptic and would not be a good book for the beach. Although, it's pretty entertaining, and the second half of it is pretty fun and hopeful. But that sounds great. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't read that one, because like I said, I typically gobble up every single one of Stephenson's books.
Yeah, I can understand why I didn't read and then completely forgot the global warming one came into existence. I'm not ready to read. I read a bunch of Paolo Bacigalupi global warming near future fictions. Those are definitely things that you read in the dark of winter when you're already cross with the universe. Do not read Paolo Bacigalupi while looking for goodness and light. Yeah.
People are I don't want to edit this out. Don't worry about it. People are commenting on giving you suggestions on the video glitch in the live chat. Yeah. Please continue. What else?
All right. So I was waiting for you to bring up Bobiverse, and you haven't.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not new, but I 100% agree with you that if you want some wonderful light reading, definitely the Bobiverse books. Weir Legion, I Am Bob, Weir Legion. And that's actually comes from you. Like, you were the one who had read them first and were raving about them, and I finally got around to reading them and just tore through them. Absolutely loved it. I can't recommend them highly enough.
They're laugh out loud, hilarious, and yet dystopian all at once.
And in the same vein as like if you like The Martian, and if you like Andy Weir stuff, Project Hail Mary, The Martian, just this sort of silliness, the level of, I don't know, casual, the way people talk to each other, the cracking the jokes, making references, it's all in there. And yet dealing with a very, when you think about the sort of the existential horror that's actually happened to the protagonist of the books, and then the potential threat that humanity faces, it is actually quite a lighthearted book series when you run through it.
And part of the way I'm picking books is I don't think, given the current state of the world, that it's possible for new things to be created that are purely goodness and light, because I don't think any of us have that in us right now. But things that can face the darkness and still bring laughter are the things that speak to me, at least, the most highly. And this is where Six Wakes, Bobiverse, all of these, it's not the happiest universe, but people still find laughter, where all of that is so important. And I actually had Project Hail Mary on my list because there is definite, oh, that's so cute, that occurs, and there is sarcasm and joy of the sarcastic variety. And one of my most favorite, extraordinarily dark moments in any story came in that story. And I can't give anything away without saying more, but definitely Project Hail Mary. It ends up involving someone who was an academic, failed out of academia, as I think happens to more people than it doesn't. And it was realized that his research was actually exactly what was needed to deal with a catastrophe. And he's just been working as a high school teacher for the past several years. And all of the hackerness that comes into having to be a high school teacher, all of the bitterness of being an academic who leaves academia, and then all of the reality of this is now actually important, it meshes together in a way that's really cool. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to talk about this some more in a second, but it's time for another break. And we're back. Have you got any more suggestions that you've been reading?
Of course I do, but tell me more books that you love and you want to inflict.
Well, I actually don't have a lot. I mean, maybe this is more about me, but as I sort of think about the books that come to mind, I'm like, nope, that doesn't meet Pamela's criteria. Nope, that doesn't meet Pamela's criteria. I love dystopian. I like a sad story, which is funny because I am such an optimistic, enthusiastic person. But